Hi, I'm Sabrina.
I'm Jackie.
I'm Ed.
And we are
The Sterilizing
Sally.
So here I'm going to be explaining on how to use chemical indicators and how to use biological monitoring for sterilization. So here we got a chemical or internal chemical indicator, and this will usually be placed inside of the cassette, wrapped up as well. And for that, the information that needs to be here be the date and then the type of sterilizer that's being used. And how this works is when it reaches a certain temperature, the color, this color right here, it will change. And if it changes, that means proper sterilization has occurred. And right here, this little tape thing right here, there's an external chemical indicator, and this will be placed outside of a wrapped cassette. And whatever type of cassette it is, you would put, like, for example, this is a basic cassette, so you write basic, and it works the same as an internal. It will change colors once proper sterilization occurs. And for our individually sterilized instruments, we have a sterilization pouch, and it has an external indicator and then an internal indicator as well, and they work the same as these individual ones as well. And then that's chemical sterilization, or that's chemical indicators, and usually those won't tell you if the proper or complete sterilization has occurred. So there still might be some spores in there. So, but a definite way to make sure that sterilization has occurred is the use of biological monitoring. And these right here, these are our biological we call them BI spore testers. And how it works is you place these in with the cassettes that are being sterilized, and then after you take them out, you'll place them inside of an incubator for them to see how they to see if bacterial growth has made it into the medium growth medium. And then I don't want to take them out, but I don't know if you can see, but we have a cloudy one. This means that there's bacterial growth, so that means the sterilizer, it didn't get sterilized. And the purple one is what you're looking for. That means proper sterilization has occurred. And then after that, you want to write the day of the sterilization, the type of sterilizer that was used, the operator, and the temperature and the time. You want to write all of that in our biological monitor record book.
Hey guys, I'm Jackie, and I'm back to show you about instrument processing. So whenever we come in and bring our instruments to sterilization, we will be wearing our PPE. We would have our outer protective garment on, we would have our utility gloves, our goggles, and then of course we'd have our mask. And make sure you always have your hair back and everything like that. So we're gonna bring our instruments in this container here. You wanna make sure it's closed and that it actually closes securely, because when you're bringing this here, you wanna make sure nobody gets hurt. Of course, you wanna make sure there's no holes in here so nothing slips out. And in here, I do have a basic cassette here. So this one has the mouth mirror, it has the forceps, and it has the Explorer here. So you want to make sure your cassettes are closed securely as well to make sure nothing slips out. And it keeps things in order too whenever you're putting them through sterilization. And whenever we bring our items here, we would actually go ahead and make sure that these items don't have any residue on them. They don't have any biofilms on them or anything like that. So we will go ahead and clean them off here. And this is the ultrasonic. We would fill it with water, and we would put the detergent in there and of course run it through there before we package our instruments. So we would bring them over here. Once they're ran through the ultrasonic, we can just go ahead and dry our cassette. So whenever we're putting our cassette here and we're packaging it for sterilization, we want to make sure we have one of these indicators in there, and this just makes sure that it gets sterilized properly. Of course, it also has to have an outside indicator, which would be this tape right here. And whenever we're packaging these, we want to make sure they're nice and tight. So make sure you're doing that. You're running through all the motions. and you're packaging it. And of course, we want to make sure we use those 3 pieces of tape. And the things that we have to put on here would be your name, the date, and of course the sterilizer that you're using. In our case, we would also put the class just to be sure who did it and make sure it's being done properly. And then you want to make sure you're using the right size. So we would put our cassettes in here, but if we're using any larger instruments, let's say we're doing a rubber dam, we would have the frame, the clamp, we would have everything we need in here. And then of course, if we were using like scissors or something, you could use different sizes. Let's say we're using the Toffelmeyer, we would put it in this size. So you want to make sure that the item fits so that way there's no holes and that you can close it properly. And that's it, you guys. So I'm just going to quickly walk through this wrapping step here. We want to make sure we have this indicator inside the cassette, and then we want to really tightly secure it. Make sure that it's nice and tight. This is where we would put the tape, and we would put one here, we would put one here, and on the side, of course, make sure your labeling's correct with the basic on the side, your name, the date, and the sterilizer used. With these pouches, all you have to do to make sure it's secure is fold it right here on this dotted line that it has, and you want to crease it nice and tight, and you remove that sticky part, and then you can firmly close it right here. Well, you want to make sure that there's no holes, there's no punctures from the instruments whenever you are doing this, and that would be the final step of instrument processing before we actually put it into the sterilizers. And remember, kids, no disposables in the sterilizers.
How to use the ultrasonic: you would take your unwrapped before processing. You would place cassettes, baskets, and mesh burr holders into the tank basket. Make sure the lid is closed before you start the cycle. And you would use this control knob right here to set the timer to 10 minutes. Once the cycle is complete, you would make sure it's complete, never open the lid or start the ultrasonic with the lid open, and remove the basket. Just place it right into the sink with everything in it, and then use the faucet right here to rinse everything. Set the instruments on the counter right here to be packaged, and then return your basket to the ultrasonic. How to drain and clean the ultrasonic at the end of the day. In full PPE again, you would make sure this handle is on the open position. All the solution is going to come out of this drain right here, all the way from the back into the sink. You would remove this basket. Take the faucet, rinse this, take the faucet, rinse this, make sure it's still open, everything is going to drain out. And then you would take this high volume evacuator and drain any excess liquid, and then stick it into there's a drain hole in the bottom that you would put it inside of, and that would take all the liquid out of the tube. Use a standing wipe to pre-clean everything, the lid, the outside, the drain, everything. Do it all over again to disinfect. Then at the end, we'll take this, prop up the basket right here to let it dry, and that's all. It's A3, and it is just for our PPE and outer garment. This one is also only used with clean hands. Make sure you are either sanitized or washed properly before handling. The water level should reach the base of the safety valve inside. This one is also only used with clean hands. Make sure you are either sanitized or washed properly before handling. When loading the gowns inside, make sure that they do not touch each other or the walls. Make sure that they are not torn as well. Make sure that the biological indicators are used and properly indicating that they were sterilized. To open and close, you would rotate this handle right here. Counterclockwise is to open and clockwise is to close it. Once the door has been closed properly, the light will illuminate. The touchpad over here has the start button. This is where you would start it and set the cycle. Once it is complete, it will emit a 5-second audible sound.
All right, guys, I'm here to talk about the Statim autoclave. So the Statim autoclave, the first thing you want to do is fill the water bottle up to the minimum level, and you want to make it sure it's close to the ground. Then we want to level it out just to ensure that it drains properly. Afterwards, when you're inserting the instruments in there, just make sure they're spread out, they're not touching, and of course, if you're putting them in pouches, make sure the clear side is facing upwards. And whenever you're putting them in, when you're opening it, just make sure you're using your thumb and your forefingers. Press down with your thumb and you pull with your forefingers. And of course, if you're using a cassette, make sure when you're putting it in there that it clicks to secure. Alright, you guys, and make sure every 5 to 6 cycles we spray this with Stat Dry Plus just to reduce surface tension and improve the evaporation process. And of course, we want to do that whenever it's dry. So when the cassette is dry, make sure. And that's it, guys.